of toothpicks before this video is over. Welcome to day 14 of Junktober. Toothpick. Just kidding. Candlelight. Candlelight is the episode, and I have one goal for today, which is to make a crap ton of candles. Because what makes a graveyard extra spooky but candles? So I do have a previous video on this channel where I made a bunch of cozy beds and bedroom scatter train, and one of the small miniature props was candles out of toothpicks. I had followed loosely a very old Blackmagic craft video. I'll link to it on screen somewhere. But I also did kind of make it my own, and I want to push that even further today. I want to make a few different sized candles. I want to make candles with like different types of bases. This is a really fun and easy craft, and you only need a few materials. Bet you can guess what like one of them is. Toothpicks is the one. I'm also going to pull back out these heishi beads. I think those are going to be a really good base for some candles. I'm going to grab some of these, which are like lollipop sticks. A lot of craft stores, at least in the United States, have sections for like baking. So they'll have like these like blank lollipop sticks. They're just like a really hard paper kind of material. And some of these Q-tips. You can get these at like dollar store. You particularly want these ones. This blue plastic part is hollow on the inside. These are the ones you want for this exact method. But honestly, you could probably just use regular Q-tips to move forward with the method that I'm about to show you. Now, I only have one, but I think the rest are in here, so I'm gonna grab those. You can also just grab really any kind of tubey-shaped candle-sized thing. Watch the video, see the technique, and then you can kind of figure out what types of tubey-shaped things you'll need. You can kind of make this with whatever you have on hand. I just happen to have these materials. If these look familiar, that's because I used them in the lantern video. If you recall, I also had a bunch of these metal beads, particularly like this one here is a really good example of something that I'm hoping to use today as the candle base. So if you can imagine, I'll kind of demonstrate it here. I might stick a toothpick in there, and this one is a little too long, but that's kind of the base of the candle. That's what I'm going for anyway. I am actually going to deviate slightly from the way I did it before, but check out that video that I mentioned earlier with the beds and the bedroom scatter to see how I did it that time. Very similar materials, very similar approach. What I originally did in that video was stuck this toothpick through the plastic tube so it kind of has like a little wick on the top. That's what it's supposed to look like. And we're gonna add some hot glue to add that kind of waxy texture. And I am going to make some of these, so I guess I'm not fully changing the technique, but I'm also gonna make a few different ones this time. So the basics of making the candle. You're gonna need some hot glue. The main method, or I should say the original method, the method that I kind of loosely found in a Blackmagic craft video and that I used in my bed scatter train video that I mentioned, is this. You take a toothpick, you take the plastic part of one of these Q-tips, and just kind of cut it to roughly how big you want the candle to be. You stick the toothpick through the plastic tube, and the goal is so that the toothpick is sticking out of the top a little bit. But once you cut off the extra, it will look like this. The shaving down part is actually not fully necessary, but I had to do that because I noticed that my bases didn't fit otherwise. But here is a candle on one of the beads. You can kind of see how that already looks like a candle. The heishi beads also work really well for this method, and honestly, you don't even have to really shave it down much for the heishi beads. Those are a little stretchy, and they fit perfectly and look like cute, adorable little candles. Once you glue those on, you can actually just snip the bottom off. Now, we're not done yet. I mentioned that you will want to have your hot glue gun going. So first, let me just glue this candle in. While I give that a second to dry, I'll mention what I had in mind for the rest of these materials. So I have all sorts of different sticks. The toothpick going through the plastic is nice because it creates that little wick on the end that I mentioned. But I don't see why I can't just glue the tip of a toothpick to different type of stick. So this is a little bit thicker, a lot thicker in the context of like if this was a candle in real life. And then I'm just gonna glue the tip on. Or you know what? Drilling a hole would probably make this a lot easier. Maybe like a couple millimeters is plenty. Take a little dot of glue and then glue the tip, the little tiny tip of a toothpick in. Now, if I hadn't gotten the glue all over my hands, I do think this would work. Okay, congratulations. You finally got that to fit. So now we've got our little wick again. Maybe these big ones don't actually need a base. You can kind of see the Heishi bead is actually still a great base size. It won't fit through the hole like the toothpick would, but you can just cut this up, take your Heishi bead, and glue your big candle to it. I've glued it to my desk. And I've glued it to my fingers. If you would just come off my fingers and just let go. Oh my God. Please, please, please come off my finger. Never did I think the candle episode, something I've done before pretty easily, would be the most annoying and difficult episode. Look, I never said it wasn't fiddly. It is extremely fiddly. I still do think the results are worth it. They look really good in the end. The wick is not even 100% necessary, but if you want to do it the way I'm going to do it, you just need wick, the tip of a toothpick works really well, a barrel for the candle, cut down to size, and a base if you want. And now, finally, I'm going to show you the glue gun part of this. Adding hot glue just makes this look more candle-like. You could honestly stop here and paint these up, no problem. But I like to add a little bit of hot glue all along the edge. I'm not squeezing the trigger tight at all because I do not want too much. Just want to make sure it at least gets to the bottom and wraps all the way up until you hit the wick. Feel free to run the hot tip of your glue gun up, and that was it. It will be way more obvious once this is painted up, but this is extremely convincing as candle wax. Well, I keep calling this the wick, but I think the actual idea is that at this scale, that actually looks like a flame. So we would paint that wooden tip up like a flame, and the rest of the candle colored. I'm going to try to glue this one with this held between my fingies. And there you go. Another little candle. All right, I've made a bunch of, I tried to make some where it looked like the wax was kind of dripping down. I love doing them on these little double-sided toothpicks. I'm gonna paint these up and it'll be really easy to hold on to them. Bunch of the ones out of the skinny blue, and I do mean a bunch. Some of them have the little yellow Heishi bead as the base. Some of them don't have bases. I also continued in the footstep of this one that gave me a ton of grief and made a bunch of those. I did end up biting the bullet and drilling some holes in the bottom so that I could do the patented, it's not patented, Junktober studio method of using the toothpick in between two candles. So those are gonna look fantastic as well. They're a little bit chunkier and a little bit fatter than these, so we'll just have a really nice variety. And now I just have to paint them up. All right, we've got the candles prepped. They are all now glued to toothpicks, and I also broke the ones in half that were glued double-ended so that they could all be stuck into this XPS foam. And I'm gonna paint them up. I'm gonna just have a boatload of candles. I'm really excited about it. These are gonna look so cute scattered around. Let me remind you how I painted those candles in that original video. I started by painting all the candles in this pale sand color. So let's do that first. Candles are all painted white and they are looking so pretty. And now we just need to add the glowing flame part. I'm just gonna dry brush on some of these colors. I like to kind of dry brush and stipple them on, kind of a combination of the two. Let me show you what I mean. I have glued up approximately 2 of these candles and they are fine, but I'm realizing maybe they don't need these little metal bases at all. And I'm kind of thinking these loose ones will just look good and maybe better just kind of stuck in the ground. So that's what I'm gonna do. These candles are now finished, I guess. One thing I'm gonna do after I put them into the diorama, so you'll have to wait for another episode to see that, is hit them with a little bit of skeleton horde contrast paint, which I like to do on bones, and they also work really well on candles. It's not a shade, it is a contrast paint, which is just a little bit more pigment than a shade, a little bit less watered down, but still really loose, still goes into the crevices. So with that, that's gonna do it for episode Candlelight. Watch the next couple seconds, I'll show you a quick sneak peek of the candles in the diorama. But anyway, thank you for watching and come back tomorrow to see what's next for Junktober.